Narayan of the Society for Community Health Awareness, Research and Action to speak about Ayush and public health. Thank you very much.
Friends, I have great pleasure in for coming to this place and to sharing with you. It's always a big dilemma when you have to speak after 1 o'clock, because people's desire for food for body becomes more than the food for thought. But I hope I'd start by thanking all of you who have stayed back, and that what I present to you will be some food for thought. From this morning, you have heard from policy makers, from academia, from researchers, from Ayurvedic physicians, and so on. What I want to present to you, based on my own background, I was a doctor and a public health consultant 30 years ago, but in 1984, I gave up all that to work with people's health movements. So today what I present to you, based on the work of our center, is the people's point of view of the whole issue of Ayush, public health, and the people's expectation. What do we do? Many years ago, when we first started this center, so that in the first few slides I just share from the basis from which I am presenting my thesis, we formed the Society for Community Health Awareness, Research and Action in 1984, which is a society based in Koramangala, Bangalore, but today works with various networks of people's movements and social movements and civil society all over the world. We started with this definition, and I was quite thrilled to find that when Gangadharan began to define the new public health, it was so similar to what we started. In 1984, we said health should be a process of enabling people to exercise collectively their responsibility to their own health and to demand health as their right. So health should be more what the people can do themselves and what they can demand, rather than something thrust from a different situation. Over the last 25 years, this society of professionals spread out all over the country and through the fellowship programs works with the Jan Swasthya Abhiyan, the People's Health Movement in India, a large network of community health work trainers, with the National Rural Health Mission ever since it set up in 2006, with public health education networks in different parts of the country, the PHFI, Tata Institute, National Institute of Epidemiology, trying to bring this people and public oriented public health. We also work at the international level. I myself was the global coordinator of the People's Health Movement, and we work with the Global Health Watch, the University, International People's Health University, and so on. What do we actually do? To sum it up, we try and bring the people back into the center of primary health care. We try and bring the public back into public health, and we bring community back into the health policy discourse. Because very often, without the people, the public and the community sitting in the table, when the health policy maker, the research, the academic, and others get together, we don't really get health for all. We land up only getting health for those who can pay. And the real challenge is we want health for all. Now here, I shall not repeat, I am using a slide from a colleague, Dr. Ashok Vaidya. We have the world's largest democracy. We are 70% of our people are using the Ayush systems. We have large numbers of colleges, practitioners, manufacturing units, and formulations, and yet we are still continuing to talk 60 years after independence on the neglect of Ayush. And I want to share with you a little bit the wider world around Ayush to understand this neglect a little bit more. But before that, I would just like to share a sort of tribute, I would say, and also acknowledge that there were three very important publications between 1975 and 81, the time when the Janta government was forming up, just a chimera when people were supposed to have come into the whole center of political discourse. Unfortunately, the Janta government as a politics was a failure, but I think three books during that time really brought forward a way ahead. And what is sad to say that today all of us on this panel, both before tea and after tea, are saying the same things. In 1975 they were said, in 2010 we are still saying the same things. And that shows 35 years these three books have collected dust on our policy shelves. What did the first book was a book called the Srivastava Report. The second book was a report on health for all by the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Indian Council of Social Science Research. And the third book, which you see, was a manual, the first plural manual for health workers in this country. Many of us, when we started our work, took inspiration from these three books, and I just present three ideas which today many of us in the panel, starting with Ms. Jalaja in the earlier session and all the way through, have been reinforcing, and I want to bring it to your notice. First, that all that we do has to move towards a national system of medicine which integrates modern and indigenous. And in fact, we should stop calling the existing medicine modern, because allopathic medicine has shown that it is not modern enough, because it is continuously biased towards Ayush. And only a modern mind which has an openness can be called modern. So I think we should stop, but that's a very important thing. The second thing is that we can keep talking about health for all, Ayurveda for all, and so on, and yet continue to produce textbooks and health worker manuals which are still primarily based on allopathic. And therefore, I want to present again that this was a great inspiration for us. I don't know how many of you have seen that green manual. I have trained hundreds and hundreds of people in this country on that green manual, the only manual, the Janta manual for Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy and Naturopathy, standing side by side with allopathy. And that is where we should move. And the last one was the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Indian Council of Social Science Research. They produced this document which said that the alternative model of healthcare that we need has to have the ashrama concept of life, yoga, herbal medicine, and a whole approach to non-consumerism. And I think this becomes the motive by which we all started. In the last 25, 30 years, our center has worked particularly closely with FRLHT in a whole range of ideas, and I'm not going to go through all of them because in the short time that I have, I don't have time to say each of these ideas, but I'll tell you some of the outcomes. We started with a dialogue with Ayush practitioners. So many years ago, our center, we had a pediatrician friend of ours who was a coordinator after I was the coordinator. He's the only plural pediatrician in this city, and he practices all the systems, and his way was bringing practitioners together and discussing issues, discussing challenges and so on. We then also were involved with FRLHT in the whole research initiatives for traditional anti-malarials. Our contribution was more how to bring epidemiological and allopathically dominated research to dialogue with Ayurveda and to produce a research protocol that is based on respect, trust, and a sort of common methodology. We worked with a lot of writing about Ayush and public health in journals. We worked with the Karnataka and Orissa government in ensuring that the state health policies gave equal importance to Karnataka and Orissa. Very interestingly, we worked with Dr. Zafarullah Chowdhury of the Gano Vishwavidyalaya, the People's Health University in Bangladesh, to start a master's program which was for masters in alternative systems of medicine. Unfortunately, just as we have a problem here in India, the Medical Council of India, which is totally allopathically dominated, the Bangladesh Medical Council also gave them a lot of problems, and that course didn't start off, but the course was, we worked through the whole course where we were going to bring practitioners from different systems together for a one-year master's, and at the end of it, they would be sort of respect and dialogue and understanding of each other. And we hope that sometime FRLHT and others will be able to take forward this course. Finally, we of course worked with the FRLHT and others in the primary healthcare campaign, taking 20 herbs and making that part of the Green Health campaign, as it was called. We started a fellowship which is open to all Ayush graduates along with social science graduates, allopathic doctors, nurses and so on. And finally, I landed up becoming the public health advisor to the ministry. But having said that, let me just say a few things that we have tried to do and then try and summarize from the people's point of view. I think the most important contribution Ayush can make is towards positive health and towards promotion of holistic health. And we brought this out in a report that we wrote to the in medical education to the independent commission. It's very important. I continuously see, as I see today, a continuous confusion in our minds. Ayush has very little to do with medicine. Ayush has everything to do with health. And yet, whenever we start thinking of Ayurveda, leave alone by ignoring the others, we straightaway talk about treatment, going against the whole understanding of Ayurveda. So I think we must go back to the WHO definition in 1948 of well-being. So is this the science of well-being, or is this the science of treatment? The whole of allopathy has been reduced to the distribution of condoms, bed nets and TB drugs. Do we want to add some Ayurvedic product to this distribution system, or do we really want to add a completely new model of well-being? And when I say well-being, I'm a little worried. My friend Gerard Bodaikar was making a case for spas, and I wasn't making a case for spas. I think well-being at every level, people in their own homes, through better nutrition, through better relationships, and through better balance with the environment. We have spoken in Karnataka, again to bring this dialogue, and here again we emphasize that we should bring there's a cultural gap. Much of Ayush is also part of local culture and local knowledge, and much of medicine practiced in India has broken that gap. So some of these things we brought together, and I just mention it as efforts to recommendation. The most important thing, however, we did, and this is what I want to mention, nothing is going to change in this country because you provide evidence to policy makers. Please remember, the one thing that you know all over the world, that policies are not based on evidence. Policies are based on political negotiations, and political negotiations are based on people's needs, people's wants, people's expressions. Unfortunately, in a country like ours, sometimes it is not people's expressions, but it is more money in suitcases that can help us decide. But remember, it's not evidence. So unless the people demand health, unless the people demand Ayush, you are not going to get through. And this was a realization that my colleagues and I made as professors and teachers of community medicine 25 years ago, and that is why we went to start the People's Health Movement. You will be happy to know that when 2,500 people, health activists from all over the country came together in 2000 AD in Kolkata in 4 people's trains, they evolved an Indian People's Health Charter. This was a charter that they were going to take around the country to get citizens groups and consumer groups and teachers groups and women's groups and environmental groups and trade unions to begin to demand. And one of the demands, as you can see in this, was that traditional healing systems and local and home-based healing traditions must be systematically researched and evaluation and must become part of our health care. We took this further. 1,500 people, we got them in Bangladesh for the first global people's health movement. And here again we try and brought into the charter the traditional and holistic healing systems must become integrated into primary health care. And similarly in Cuenca in Ecuador, when 2,500 people came together, we brought traditional healers from all over the world to this People's Health Assembly, and we made the same sort of commitment that traditional medicine and culture must become part of our primary health care. Having said all this, I just want to say that 2 years ago, Sochara, our center, along with FRLHT, organized a workshop. And I must thank Ms. Anita Das because she supported that as the Secretary of Ayush. And there were five or six important goals ahead. And this is very important. First, you will be surprised to know that the understanding of how important Ayush is from the people's point of view is very, very poor in our epidemiological and policy analysis. You go to the government, you go to academia, there are many people who feel, oh, Ayush is peripheral. You continuously hear, oh, people need evidence. Please, this is a completely wrong. You go out into the field and people are using and hungering for Ayush. So I think it's very important to strengthen situation. Secondly, public health and Ayush can never come together unless public health is part of Ayush curriculum. And many of us are trying to see how Ayush doctors and Ayush faculty begin to understand the challenges of public health. Only then they will come out from the very individual treatment-oriented Ayush that has become part of India to the much more larger challenge of Ayush and public health. We have to promote social science dialogue because Ayush systems have to understand why they are neglected. It is not a lack of money. There's a whole lot of the political economy of policy making in India, the whole range of social science reasons why Ayush and public health are not coming. There are much larger threats, and I think this is what I want to bring to you. Today we might all be very happy because 4,000 people have gathered here and we are all celebrating the World Ayurveda Conference, Ayurveda for All. But let me tell you, there are at least 7 important global trends that go against health. They go against Ayush if Ayush believes in holistic health. The first is globalization itself. Globalization is a lovely concept if you think of it that we have all become Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and part of a global family. But what it means, globalization, if you really understand it today, is that Coca-Cola company can come and make everybody drink Coca-Cola rather than worry about a purified water for everybody. And that is what worries me, that Ayush is soon going to become the Ayush spa industry. And all of you youngsters here, rather than being committed to health for all, will all become directors of Ayurvedic spas. And that is globalization. That is the market phenomena. So that is the most important. The second problem which you have to keep, which is coming continuously in our panel discussion, is there is a strong, what I like to call, being an allopath myself, allopathic hegemony. We use everything with an allopathic lens. The controlled clinical trial, allopathic evidence. I am an epidemiologist. I am trained in the best schools in the country, All India Institute and the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And let me tell you that a controlled clinical trial is not the panacea for, there are lots of methods of research which we use are very, very flawed. They have their own problems. And I think we have very, very important to try and prevent this allopathic hegemony and to stop calling allopathy modern medicine. Allopathy is just a and then you have A, Y, U, S, H. So that's different. The third thing which is more dangerous is what I've just finished saying is the commercialization and the commodification. Today, even Procter and Gamble, one of the most famous US multinationals, has stopped producing allopathic drugs because they feel the future of the medical market is in Ayush, in Ayurveda. So it is commercialization of Ayush which is going to promote the future, not people's health, but the market. So you and I have to be very clear what are we trying to promote? Ayurveda industry for all, or Ayurveda living principles for all? That's very important. The fourth is biopiracy. Today when you look at the trade and patent laws, it's not unusual that people were trying to patent Kiranali, people were trying to patent turmeric, people were trying to patent each of these. And today each of these herbal medicines that we are talking about, 2,000 species in South Africa, so many more thousand species in India, there is a big race for patenting them. And therefore there's a whole biopiracy going on, and we have to consider that today if we want to promote Ayush, we have to bring more just and patent laws. The fifth big challenge for us is the medicalization of health. Health is well-being. Health is not medical care. Until we begin to understand that when we say we are a health professional, we don't start talking about treatment, then you are a medical professional. If you are a health professional, you have to talk on physical, mental, social and spiritual well-being. Anything less makes you a medical profession, and therefore let's stop medicalizing. We have medicalized allopathy, and now we are going to medicalize Ayush itself. So please be careful. The sixth one is unsustainable development. Today if you understand our development strategies all over the world, today the world is worried. We are sitting in Cancun in Mexico trying to look at climate change. One of the most important dangers of climate change is the wiping out of the medical heritage and the culture of large numbers of people all over the world. So just as we worried about climate change in terms of changes in temperature, we have to see changes in our whole bio rhythms and our the environment. And finally is the marginalization of cultures and communities. I believe there are lots of hope also. I am not a pessimist. Even at 62, I am a born optimist, and I believe that the People's Health Movement, and if all of us can make health a movement, we have to believe in what I call glocalization, not globalization, which means while we are a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we have to let local cultures, local ideas and local solutions be generated and be celebrated. National health missions are taking up today. We have had it in Brazil, we have it now in India, and very soon universal health coverage is coming. You and I have to commit ourselves to health for all, not medical care for all, and not medical care for those who can pay. So let us be careful. There are large movements for trade and patent justice which you and I should support as citizens. There is health promotion, the whole knowledge revolution. See what WikiLeaks has done today. Many of us there are 4,000 of us who have signed up that the founder of WikiLeaks should be given the Nobel Peace Prize, because he has produced that today knowledge must be in the hands of everybody. And all these machinations of big power and their politics must be exposed by for people, and people must, and this has been possible through the internet revolution. And I think we can use for Ayush itself, sustainable development, community monitoring. Let me just end my session by saying, I wish there were more young people here because I believe there are 6 important existential challenges, and I hope each of you who have stayed back before going for lunch, give a little time in the next week to think of this. What are we trying to promote in what we do when we think of Ayush? And I would say Ayush, not Ayurveda, Ayush for health for all. The first, is it just pluralism? Is it just accepting that we are all going to exist, okay, that's a good idea in harmony, or are we really going to try and integrate this, bringing the best from each system into some sort of world heritage of medicine? And my personal, that is why I have put certain things in red and certain things in green in this, but I would say we need to really think, what are we trying to do? Second, whenever we talk of Ayush today, what comes to my mind is lots and lots of advertisements in our newspaper about Ayurvedic spa. So I want to ask you, are you committing yourself to medical tourism, or are you really seriously talking about Ayush for everyone in this country? The third, a lot of Ayush today is growing and is, like allopathy, for those who can pay. You and I have an existential dilemma. Are we only going to look at whether as doctors in Ayush we're going to get a good salary, our bank balance is going to grow, and we can begin to make as much money as the allopaths, or are we really going to worry about Ayush for all? The fourth, are we going to empower professionals to add Ayush to exploit the people, or are you going to use Ayush to empower communities? And Gangadharan has just finished telling us that we have to empower communities. We have to empower communities with the herbs growing in their own, around them, through their own healers and through their own dyes. And therefore, I think communities. The two last questions which I'd like to end is, there is an allopathy for long has been the big brother. Is Ayurveda today trying to become the next big brother? And I believe that would be a very, very limited understanding of Ayurveda. Ayurveda, deeply in its philosophy and its history, is a science of life and living and healthy living. It is not a science of medicine, and therefore just becoming the new big brother and ignoring Unani, yoga, Siddha, homeopathy, Tibetan medicine, and all the folk traditions would be a big problem. So I think Ayurveds particularly have to seriously understand, are we a catalyst for a new Ayush? And the last one which I am given as for you to take home as you go for lunch now, is a little formula. Is it just A plus Ayush? All these years we've had allopathic dominance, A, now you add A plus Ayush. And I would say no, that is too narrow a goal. We have to think of Ayush, which is Aayush. And it is not just coming together, but long life and living and well-being, not care. And that's very important. I'd like to end by saying that in the old Vedic prayer, they said, Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya. In that two lines they said, living well, let everybody be well. And second only was, let everybody be free of disease. Today we have made it the other way. We are only worrying about sarve santu niramaya. We are not worrying about sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. And I would say that if Ayush has to really come of age and show, and I am always using the word Ayush, not Ayurveda, we must move towards sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. And it is a well-being model that we have to promote. And the people out there are ready to support it because they are hungering for well-being. They are not hungering for treatment for this illness or that illness. They are really hungering for well-being, and this is the challenge before us. And I hope that all of us, as we push Ayurveda and Ayush in the movement for health for all, will make it a people's movement. Thank you.